These are the SLC Fanboys.
SLC Fanboys podcast. We're grateful to have you with us. Ethan Millard from the Nightside Project podcast joining me, Andy Farnsworth, and Aaron Zundel as we talk first-person shooters. We've talked about our favorites. We've talked about the history. Now let's ask the question, what is it about these games that continues to make them so engaging? I mean, they're still one of the top sellers, and they're keeping console gaming alive, and they've kept PC gaming. I mean, people still buy laptop PCs in the age of the tablet, in large part because they get to play the online games like this.
I think that, at least for me, the most interesting thing about first-person shooters is the immersion quality. And so far, they've been focused solely on shooting. But I think that as technology advances and our ability to tell stories in this medium, we become more comfortable with it. I think that what we can begin to do in terms of games with these will move beyond things like simple combat. And I think we've seen this a little bit already with a game that came out a while ago. I believe it was 2008 called Portal. And then it had a sequel, which I believe came out in 2010 or 11 called Portal 2. But this game, there is no actual combat.
No.
This game...
So how can it be a first-person shooter if there's no combat?
Well, so you have one thing back to Ethan. So this is actually a direct sequel to Half-Life. It takes place in the same universe, but in a different location, a different lab. It's playing off the gravity gun technology in Half-Life 2. But the gun in this game only does one thing.
It shoots a portal.
It shoots two portals. One orange, one blue. And when you go through orange, you come out blue, or when you go through blue, you come out orange. Just like this.
So that's how you get to the other side.
And so it's just a puzzle game. But some of the things some of the puzzles that they were able to create with this opened up gameplay experiences that at the time, I mean, when I saw them for the first time, were just mind-bending.
Yeah.
I mean, the way you would start to use gravity to accelerate and jump through one portal to get through another, or to move objects. I mean, there's no combat in this game to speak of. There are a few sentry guns here, but you don't kill them. You just move them.
That's interesting, because you can't pick anything up, right?
Right, or you knock them over.
The only thing you can do is fire your gun, and it can only do one of two things.
You can pick things up. You can move things around.
Oh yes, it does. You can pick things up with the gun. So those cubes and things. So you can pick things up and open two portals. But I mean,
That's pretty clever.
Well, and you know what's interesting about these games is these games really showed the possibility for in-game education, because there aren't really very many instructions in these games. And when you think about it, that's kind of the style of first-person shooters. There's very limited instruction. You kind of learn as you go along. And that is one of the tricks the game developers have, is how do we teach these people how do we teach people to play a game without having to teach them to play it? And Portal and Portal 2, they do that. You get in these situations, and you figure it out. It's challenging, but it's also intuitive enough that you learn it as you go, and no one has to stop and show you what to do.
Well, this is, to me, fascinating because I like the puzzle aspect of it. I'm getting dizzy now, just like I normally do. But
Andy's gonna hurl.
At any rate, the point that my point of even bringing that up is that as I watch my kids, I actually don't mind games where the kids are going to learn how to have to puzzle solve. Like, I actually like that. Not just walk around, hey, look, there's a guy over there.
Then you
shoot
should
him.
get in Portal 2.
Right,
Yeah,
and I like that. I like that idea. But my other fear is they're just going to go on the internet and find, if they get stuck, what I want them to do is solve the problem. Now they're just going to go and find out.
The great thing about Portal is none of the puzzles are so difficult that you can't just working through them for a few minutes figure them out. I mean, that's kind of they grade the difficulty so well. That's one of its charms, I think.
Yeah.
Okay, so Ethan, now we're going to go to one that I want to ask you about. We talked about BioShock in our other segment. Now we talk about the one that you hinted at, which was BioShock Infinite.
Yeah, this is a fantastic game, and I thought it was the perfect sequel to BioShock. Even though it kind of happens.
What was the big difference between the first one to the second one?
Well, among them, one takes place at the bottom of the ocean, the other takes place up in the sky. So,
okay.
I mean, location-wise,
so
they could not be more different. But each one is really steeped in culture and politics and history. And so you can see that, you can probably see right away that this is set in a kind of a turn-of-the-century type situation.
Is this person dancing to
Yeah.
the song?
Oh, yes.
I love it.
That was one of the beautiful things, was the immersion.
Yeah. It's extremely cool. And I'll tell you what, So this guy's
Oh, that guy missed.
that guy's kind of driving me crazy because he's obsessed with these singers. But you can see how really beautiful this stuff is, and I want to tell you guys something. And I love movies, right? I've always loved movies, but I would prefer a good game over a great movie.
Interesting.
I like great, but I think that a pretty good video game for me is going to be better than just the best Oscar-winning, most amazing movie because I love the way that they put me in these scenarios and put me in these places. And you escape with a movie, right? But you don't play a role in the film, and you do in these. And that is
especially
so
in BioShock
cool.
Infinite. Especially in BioShock
It feels like
Infinite.
you're being more of a movie than just playing a video game. Then
That's
is what
right.
you're saying.
And that's why I love so much the first-person shooter. That immersive experience is unique to other games that might also have combat, or they might also have fantasy elements.
I see what you're saying.
But this format puts you in it.
Have you played VR first-person shooters yet, where you actually put on the headset and it
I
becomes
haven't.
fully immersive?
I haven't because
So I have played one on the HTC Vive, and it's not called I think it's not called Encounter on Tatooine.
Okay. Oh, it's a Star Wars one.
It's a
Okay,
Star
you
Wars
sold
one.
me. I'm
And-
trying
look,
it.
they've flashed back to Rapture in BioShock.
The
So
original.
they do
Okay.
kind of link them a little bit. But anyway, keep going.
No. This game on the HTC Vive, which I think is the next level of at least the shooter element of first-person shooters. VR, HTC Vive.
Okay.
Those kinds of things haven't quite gotten the movement aspect down yet on how it's easy to move with those.
Yeah,
sorts
you
of
think I got
controllers.
motion sick before?
Yeah, they haven't quite gotten the movement down. But this game was just a demo where you stood in the Tatooine desert with a lightsaber blocking blaster shots from stormtroopers as they surrounded you and came in on you. And the music's blaring and the Millennium Falcon's behind you and R2-D2's buzzing. And I'll tell you what, for the 5 to 10 minutes when I was doing that, I mean, you're ducking behind crates to dodge blaster bolts. It was when I was done, my hands were sweating, and it was only about a 10-minute experience.
Well, when you talk about immersive, I mean, it's kind of in the name first person. I kind of prefer the third person in a way because I like to have that tiny little bit of removal distance from it.
But see, with third person, you're an observer.
Well, right, and that I kind of like that, and maybe that's why I can handle it without getting sick beforehand because of the first-person perspective. But you're talking immersion, and I guess that's sort of the design. I mean, that was the design in the first place, was to try to immerse you in that scenario. I know that speaking as a parent and having had parents who were kind of suspicious of some different kinds of video games. You got to explore the aspect of do these things tie that? Does that immersion aspect actually play a role in real life? I'm curious to know, as people who are big fans of the genre, do you believe that the immersion factor, not just of a first-person shooter, but of video games in general, does that play around with your perception of real life?
Oh, I think the same way any movie does. I mean, we're getting to the point where I think that's absolutely the case.
I don't think that it does in the sense that.
I mean, I'm not saying like, oh, yeah, because you played first-person shooters, somebody goes out and does the same thing. Because I actually do believe there's more of a disconnect than the pop culture would have you believe.
I don't believe that first-person shooters or these types of games. I don't think they change behavior, and I don't think that they will make you more like the people that are in the game, or I don't even think that it. I honestly don't even think that it deadens you to violence. I think that if you took the most dedicated first-person shooter and you showed them a video of a journalist being beheaded by Al-Qaeda, they would throw up like everybody else. I
agree.
I don't
I
think
agree
that
with
it
that.
desensitizes you. But you know what it does do is it does create problems because it's going to be something that you're going to want to constantly do and constantly be a part of. And so that time suck where
yes.
it becomes a big part of your life.
If you've actually listened to, we've already essentially said this without specifying it out. I mean,
that's the risk. That's the risk, is that this starts to take up a large part of your life. And heaven forbid, I think it's possible some personality types might be unable to control their
I could believe
their
that.
decision to play or not play.
Well, we've got a whole movie based on that coming out this summer, Ready Player One, right?
Yep,
With
I
Steven
bought the
Spielberg.
book. I'm looking forward to reading that and before I see the movie. So all of this that we were talking about released to Battlefront II release today. That's the first-person shooter world that I want to be. Because if I want to immerse myself in a world, it's somewhere that I've always imagined that I wanted to be in the first place. The closest I've come is if you remember the Star Wars Trilogy arcade game that they came out with in the mid-2000s, where for the first time ever, you could sort of have a lightsaber fight using a joystick in the arcade. And what it would do is Darth Vader's holding a lightsaber, he's facing you, and you're seeing Luke hold a lightsaber, and it would flash the screen where you needed to hit the joystick. And if you did it fast enough, you'd block. And if you could block one, then you could
lightsaber
It was the closest thing I've ever seen. That's what I want to do. And Battlefront doesn't quite have that yet.
We will get there.
And when we do, you got me buying the system, I guarantee you. Well, Ethan, thank you for joining us as we talked first-person shooters and video games.
Thank you for having me.
Is there any one particular right now that hasn't come out yet that you're looking forward to?
No, I've got my plate full. I've got with World War II and with Wolfenstein. I kind of got my plate full, so
okay.
I'm not looking so far ahead. But if there's someone out there that wants to give new life to the BioShock,
Ethan will be your first customer.
I'm willing to sell my house and help you guys get it off the ground.
Get crowdfunding.
I wish, and I can't tell you guys that I can't say this enough. I wish so much that I could go back and play BioShock for the first time.
And I still can.
And you can.
You should watch me play it then.
I hate that.
You would hate that.
Well, you'd hate it. You'd hate it. I wouldn't leave you alone.
Yeah, then I'd
be
get
like,
all
give
sick.
me the controller.
Now that I believe. It's hard to watch someone else play a video game too. Aaron, any particular game?
With them dropping the paywall, as we discussed a couple episodes ago, I think that the Battlefront II game, I'm kind of interested in that. But to your point, you wanted a lightsaber game. It just occurred to me there is one now. You go to Walmart, pay $200. You can buy a VR headset and a lightsaber with a built-in lightsaber combat game. I forget what it's called, but that just
$200, huh?
That
Andy,
just hit shelves.
Your life is now complete.
Christmas bells are ringing very soon.
We have finally achieved everything you need in life.
Well, I've got the game that I need. Apparently, if I've got Star Wars lightsaber combat, I don't need anything else. Now I just need to get a bodysuit that will, if I get hit in the arm, my arm won't work anymore so that I can truly simulate.
We might be a few years off from that.
Okay, well, all right, Ethan. Well, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
We're looking forward to the Nightside Project podcast. You can get on the KSL News Radio app. And
wherever great podcasts are found.
Wherever great podcasts are sold. Thank you for joining us. Tell us what's your favorite game. Now you, our listener. What did we miss any of the key moments in first-person shooter history that you think we should have said? Tell us what you think. Go to our Facebook page, slcfanboys.com. That'll also take you to our Facebook page. And share. We'd love to have you. Podcast app, search SLC Fanboys or on Google Play Music. And we'll catch you at our next episode.